Good morning. Today we're going to quickly look at Judges 19 through 21, those last chapters of that, and then all four chapters of the book of Ruth, a short book. But so anyway, in chapter 19, there's a Levite from Bethlehem, or for a Levite that goes and he gets a concubine from Bethlehem. Not legally his wife, maybe, but he is referred to as her husband. But she gets mad and she goes home to dad's, and she's there for 4 months, and then the Levite goes to retrieve his concubine, his wife, so to speak, and spends several days there because her dad doesn't want them to go. But when they finally do leave, they leave kind of late in the day, and they don't want to stay in a Canaanite village, so they go on until they find an Israelite village, and they decide to stay there. Nobody will let them in. Finally, one man does invite them in, and then the other men of the community come, and they say they want to have sex with the man, commit sodomy. And, this person says, no, he's a guest in my house. And then, pathetic. Take my daughter and his concubine and have your way with them. What kind of people are they anyway? These are God's people, should respect one another. But, it's just horrible stuff. And the men don't want that. But finally, the concubine, and it doesn't say much about the daughter, but they're there. And in the morning, the concubine has died from her mistreatment. And the Levite takes her home, and reading the story is just terrible. But anyway, the rest of the tribes all come together against these men who committed this atrocity. And the men, the city, they're not going to turn over just the men who were guilty. So almost the entire tribe of the Benjamites gets wiped out by the other tribes of Israel. And, it's just massive slaughter and horrible things. And then as we get to the end of chapter 21, the others realize, well, we can't just let the tribe of Benjamin totally, disappear. We've got to preserve them. And so they let them, it says that they go and they abduct dancers, and they return to their territory, renew their villages, and go on. And again, this book ends with, there was no king, and all the people did what was right in their own eyes. Just total lawlessness, sinful behavior, and it hurts me to read these stories of some of what's going on in here. So the tribe of Benjamin is then preserved, and that's enough of Judges as far as I'm concerned. The book of Ruth is a totally different type of story. It's just 4 chapters. It's about one family. It's about dedication. It's about love. It's about being true to who you are. And the book of Ruth starts out, there's a famine in the land, and so Elimelech, this man of Bethlehem, goes to a Moabite country with his wife, Naomi, and their 2 sons, Malon and Chilion. And they were of the tribe of Ephraim from Bethlehem. And, we hear that, when we get to talking about Jesus later on, Ephrathah of Bethlehem, and this is where we're kind of getting some of that stuff. But anyway, they go because of the famine, and they're there, and the 2 sons marry these Moabite women, and lo and behold, Elimelech dies, the husband of Naomi, plus both of their sons die. So it's Naomi and the 2 daughters-in-law left, Orpah and Ruth. I said Oprah, and that's the wrong name. But it's Orpah and Ruth. And Naomi says to them, I'm old. I can't bear sons again, and why would you want to wait for my sons to remarry? Because go back to your father's house and find another husband. And Orpah does that, but Ruth says, no, verse 16, do not press me to leave you or turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Your people, where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die. What Ruth says, you are my mother-in-law, you are my family, and I'm going to be true to you. I'm going to honor you, and if you're going to go back to your home roots of Bethlehem, I'm going along with. And they do. But they're on the way, and Naomi is so overwhelmed with grief at the death of her husband, her two sons, and one daughter-in-law. She says, no longer call me Naomi, call me Mara. And Mara means mourning, weeping, one who is, in a physical and mental state of devastation, she says, for the Almighty has dealt me a bitter hand. And she said, I went away full, but I'm coming back empty. Why call me Naomi anymore? And so she returns to her home and to her extended family. She doesn't have any close family left, but she sends her daughter-in-law Ruth out to glean some grain from the fields of a near relative, Boaz. And if you remember, going way back, when they harvested their fields, they were to leave some around the edges and for the poor and the needy to come and to glean. And so this is, Ruth is doing this at Naomi, Mara's request. Go and gather some grain from the fields, which is the way that we can provide for ourselves so we have meal to eat. And she spends all day and she gathers an ephod of barley, which isn't an awful lot, but it's enough to make some bread and to then have something to eat. And Boaz sees this woman out there, and he asks, who she is. And his hired men, his servants, the people that are out there harvesting, and there are women out there working as well, and they tell him, and he says, now listen, and he's talking to his people, and he says, make sure there's plenty left for her. And, don't even, harvest all of it. If some falls out, just let it be there for her. And he tells the women that are working in his field to watch out for her. And then he talks to her and he says, stay close to my women. Don't go into these other fields because, somebody may mistreat you. They may take advantage of you and all of those different things. And he finds out who she is. And then when Ruth goes back to home to Naomi, she explains all of this and happy birthday to Gloria. I don't read all the comments, but I see that, so happy birthday, Gloria. Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, but Ruth has come home and told Naomi all of the day's events. And Naomi says, go and, clean up, dress up, and go lay at the feet of Boaz. Uncover his feet, tell him that you are available, basically. And when he wakes up and sees her there, he realizes what's going on. And, remember the custom, the tradition, the law, so to speak, of and Jesus is tested on this, if a woman marries a brother and he dies, and she marries all 7 brothers and they die without, offspring, all of this stuff. But so Boaz realizes that it's his right as a near relative, and his not only right but responsibility to this woman to provide an offspring for Elimelech, Malon, and Chilion through this Moabite woman. But he says there is one other that has a closer relationship. Let me talk with him in the presence of the elders of the community. And if he is willing, fine. If not, I will do that. And so this happens. He's at the gate of the city. This other relative comes and they have the conversation, and the other one who would have more of the responsibility, the first rights or whatever you want to call it, says, I can't do that at this time. So Boaz does. He said, I will redeem this property. And he's not talking just about Ruth. He's talking about Elimelech's land, the inheritance of Elimelech that would go then to his sons Malom and Chilion. And so then, so Boaz takes Ruth then to be his wife. And they have a son. And this son is the grandfather of King David. And David is the How many down the line then do we have Jesus? But Jesus is of the house of David. So Ruth, this Moabite woman who has professed to Naomi, I will go where you will go. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. And God sees fit through all of this to use this Moabite woman as one of Jesus' great grandmothers, or however, whatever the terminology would be that way. But it's a story of love and faithfulness and commitment. It's a brief interlude for us as we read through the Old Testament, and Judges is such a book of ups and downs for the Israelites. And when we we read the whole book of Ruth today, and tomorrow we get into Samuel, 1st and 2nd Samuel will start, and again, it's kind of that up and down relationship. But here we have a story that has a happy ending, and that's what God wants for each and every one of us. Happy endings, families that work together, play together, are honorable to each other, respect each other, and there is very little that can be more important than family. We have good friends, we have best friends, and often we're fortunate if our best friends come to be family members as well, rather than to be estranged from our families. And so we see in Ruth, in Naomi, in Boaz, faithfulness to family, faithfulness to tradition, and as well as that they know God. They know God, and God knows them. And I rejoice that God knows each and every one of us as well. May you live today, as always, in His blessing.